And there's one thing I've been thinking about quite a bit, and that's imposter syndrome. Have you heard that term before? Imposter syndrome. It came up like 3 or 4 times in a row in different conversations with different people. And I'm a performer. I do stand-up comedy. I've been a comedian for about 17 years. And this is a conversation that happens a lot, at least like performers, is that, you know, even though you may have credits, maybe you've sold out a big show, maybe you just had a fantastic set, but it doesn't really feel real, right? It doesn't really feel like you earned it. Like there's an imposter, right? And I like, you know, I always get curious about words. And the fact that this kept coming up, I'm like, you know, what is actually imposter syndrome? Like, I have a rough idea. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but, you know, is this actually like a medical condition? Is this a real thing? And so I did a little quick deep dive, and that's a little contradictory, a quick deep dive. Anyway, it is not a diagnosis, right? It's not a medical diagnosis. It's not part of the DSM, if you're familiar with that, the diagnostic blah, blah, blah book. And so I'm looking up the definition of what imposter syndrome is. And basically what it is, not a disorder, and it is actually a reaction to certain stimuli. And the way that we view ourselves and how well we're living in our own authenticity. Because these conversations I had this week, it was a friend who was saying that they felt like an imposter in their life, that they felt like an imposter on stage when they were performing stand-up. And I said something that I could tell probably hurt their feelings a little bit. I'm neurodivergent. Anyway, I'll just spit it out because I kind of stepped in it a little bit. But I just challenged the person. I said, do you maybe feel like the reason you have, or you're saying that you have the symptoms of imposter syndrome is because you are actually acting as an imposter? You know, because it was within the context of someone doing a stand-up performance, and some of the material in the stand-up performance wasn't really, not necessarily like 100% true to the person who they were. And I hear that a lot. You know, I feel like imposter syndrome. And I've felt that myself, for sure. Like I said, I've been doing stand-up for 17 years, but when you do stand-up for that long and you haven't gotten a Netflix special, or you haven't been on HBO, or you've never been on a late-night talk show, people, you do feel like an imposter. You're like, no, seriously, like when people come and see me live, they laugh, they like it. I'm not famous, but, you know. But this idea, though, that we're showing up maybe in an inauthentic way, I feel like that I want to delve into that a little bit. I know that I have put on my mask, a social mask. Like, we all have to put one on at work, right? Like, you have to get along, you know, you have to put on a mask when you go to church. You have to put on a mask at social functions, right? Funerals, weddings, things like that. I mean, these are natural things where you have to table whatever you have going on in favor of what the group dynamics are. And in this exploration, I think a lot of times the anxiety levels and having an anxiety disorder, they have concluded that you have a high likelihood of having also imposter syndrome. Also people that fall into the range of perfectionism and people with depression and things like that, where no matter what you do, either it's not really you, or the only reason why the good thing happened to you was luck or some outside force not really accredited to you. And I mean, that makes sense. I mean, to a certain extent, that sounds like humility, that sounds like being humble. But if you really don't feel like the things that you've achieved in your life are actually your achievements, it could be some of those other factors like anxiety and depression, but it also could be that the success is coming to you, but it's not coming through you. It's coming to your mask. It's coming to whatever social mask you've put on. And so when the mask has a win, when the socially constructed personality has a win, you know, you don't feel it as well, because it doesn't feel like you, because it really, you are being kind of an imposter. Do you know what I mean? It just got me thinking, you know, maybe if we're feeling that we are an imposter, well, let's think about it. In what ways are we not showing up authentically as ourselves? And what are we hiding? Because we think it's too icky or socially unacceptable or will be rejected, or maybe, there could be a real world cost. Like, I have PTSD, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. On job applications, I don't throw that on there. Because people, some people have some ideas about that. Like, oh, she could just snap one day. Or, oh, she's mad. She's got PTSD. Watch out, So we make a lot of these assumptions, right? But that's why I think it's important to talk about these things and get it out there, because one of the things I hate is feeling inauthentic. I hate feeling like an imposter. And part of my neuroses is that I overshare. I overtell people. I always overtell people the bad stuff about myself. I always point out my own flaws and things like that. And that's not healthy either. It's kind of grovelly. Like, I don't really deserve it, But you can legitimately feel that way. But, like, in what ways are we not showing up in an authentic way? And I've talked about this subject before in a different episode. But it's kind of like the difference between, like, let's say LinkedIn and, I don't know, Facebook or TikTok, okay? LinkedIn, that's your professional business card, essentially, right? So if you go and interact on LinkedIn, it's all hashtag positivity. Everything is hashtag positivity. I've put in some contrarian arguments. I've put in some dissenting points about the economy and things of that nature. No one wants to have a discussion about anything on LinkedIn. They only want to see pictures of you next to an award. They only power down to say congratulations. I have friends on there that I've had since LinkedIn was brand new when I started using it back in my real estate days in the early 2000s. And all I've ever heard from these people for years, and I know them in real life, but like on LinkedIn, it's just like, congratulations on your 1-year anniversary of your promotion. They don't even know what job I'm at. They just see the prompt, right? And so this push, especially in corporate America, to make everything super sanitary and super clean and super, like, nothing offensive, nothing edgy, nothing, that's not helpful either. Toxic positivity is just as bad as toxic negativity, because toxic positivity, basically, you're shutting out everything that just doesn't align with the color of the sky in your world. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't march to your own drummer. I'm not saying that you should go with the crowd. But, you can get stuck, like, it's like literally like there's rain clouds gathering, the storm's coming, and you're out here like, I don't need an umbrella because I'm positive, I'm thinking positive. And it drives me insane. I mean, like, look, I don't go on LinkedIn anymore because it's too, I don't know, it feels so much more braggy. We used to rag on Facebook so hard about it, people only highlighting the good qualities of their life and the good stuff, but LinkedIn is way worse. If you're somebody like me and you're sitting there, like I'm starting a new job on Tuesday, but like I got laid off from my day job early this winter, and so I've had a lot of free time. And then you go on to like a LinkedIn and things like that, and you're seeing, oh, well, so-and-so won an award, so-and-so is going on a sales trip, so-and-so just started a new business, and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, why can't I make anything happen? Why am I not, getting the stuff, right? But we don't really see the full picture. We're really only seeing the cleanest, most sanitary version of their life because it's essentially a business card. But we've mistaken that for being someone's life. And that's not an accurate representation either. Now, like, Facebook used to be more, clean and whatever, like, more professional, I guess, but now it's kind of a dumpster fire as far as political stuff, so I'm trying to ignore it for a couple months. But, so I think that this is where we inadvertently buy into this concept and this idea that we should be an imposter. We should suck it up. We should just go with the flow. We should do what everybody else is doing. Because look at, they're getting the stuff. They're getting the stuff I'm not getting. So maybe I do have to show up in an unauthentic way. Maybe I do have to, be a brown noser or whatever, right? But that also is you acting outside of your own autonomy if it's not really the way that you feel. And, keeping your mouth, shut in an instance where maybe a coworker is dead wrong or has their facts wrong, but you just want to keep the peace, you're actually showing up in an inauthentic way. And when you're doing that, any success that comes to you when you're in an imposter state, you're not going to really feel like you did it because you didn't earn it. Not you, your imposter did. Your imposter got the award. I don't go in too deep on religion, but I think I've mentioned before, I've been studying, practicing is maybe a little too strong a word, but studying Buddhism for, since my 20s. And one of the things that, is very dangerous is to be constantly caught in between who you are and who you think you should be. Right? And so if you go into those spaces like that where you're just seeing everybody having all this positive stuff happening to them, you're never seeing the reality of the negative, the backside of it, it can really mess with your head. And it can make it seem like the way to get what you want is to be less authentic. And I hope to God that's not the case. Although I'm not terribly successful. So maybe that's it. Maybe if I could just keep my mouth shut, I would have had more success. But it, again, also with the neurodivergence and attention deficit disorder, I found out one of the symptoms of that is that I have a hypervigilant sense of right and wrong and of justice. And so it's like I'm compelled to challenge things if I feel like they're being unfair or they're, someone's being overlooked or left out. I'm very sensitive to that. And I don't want to lose that. And I don't think we can lose that as people, we have to be able to obviously dissent and disagree with people, but also to just pretending to not, just ignoring someone and letting things roll by because, you want that promotion and you don't want to make waves and you want to fit in and you need the money and you want this and you want that. I mean, you can play that game and I've played it, but, real talk, it led me to a freaking nervous breakdown at 50 and I had another nervous breakdown at 35 where I was literally an imposter in my own life. And I'm like, I don't see myself in my own life. I don't see myself anywhere here. I'm just this combination that I put together of a socially acceptable personality that society likes, my mom likes, my dad likes, my brother, everybody likes. I didn't like it. It wasn't me. I wasn't standing up for what I really believed. I wasn't speaking out when I should have. I was letting people get away with behavior because I really just didn't, I don't know. I wanted acceptance more than I wanted, the correct outcome. And it led me both times to being in a place where I felt like an imposter in my own life. So I get the imposter syndrome. I do. But when you start showing up for yourself in an authentic way, and you start showing up for other people in an authentic way, A, they'll notice. B, Jules, what are you saying? I agree to disagree. Yeah, exactly. Agree to disagree, right? Because there's that social line. You have to maintain order in the group. Remember, we're all just monkeys running around here on this rock that's hurtling through space, right? So you got to preserve the group dynamics. But if you constantly let that kind of stuff happen, you can end up in some unethical corners of business. You can find yourself in situations that aren't healthy or good. I know I did. So yeah, showing up as yourself is in and of itself an act of courage. And that's been the gift of me going back to therapy, me, getting my late diagnosis, getting on the proper medication, doing my own research, doing my own journaling, doing my own work, and figuring out, because now I know, because I've basically stripped down so much of myself, I'm kind of like a raw nerve at this point, but anything I can achieve from this point on, I will know that I earned it. And I will know that it is not an imposter achieving it. I did it. Because it's been a lot of hard work. And so when success comes this time, I firmly believe, again, that I will believe it. But everybody's dope the way they are. You know, you don't have to pretend to be someone else. And you wouldn't want to anyway. You know? And if you're feeling like an imposter too, you might be just also in a work situation or in a relationship or a dynamic that's unhealthy where there is danger for you showing up as your true and authentic self. And if you're in that kind of situation, well then, you know, then you kind of know what you got to do, but that's scary too. So, I don't know, it was something that got me thinking. And this week, and I could tell I threw my friend off when I was like, well, yeah, but do you think it's because you're being an imposter in your own life? And they looked at me like, you know what B word I'm going to say. Like, they're like, why do I talk to you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why anybody talks to me. But yeah, that's the other part of the neurodivergence is I will literally, I take things extremely literally. Like, literally what you said. Like, I have imposter syndrome. Well, stop being an imposter. Isn't it just that simple? Just cast aside all of society's norms real quick and do whatever the hell you want. Simple, right? There's no negative consequences to those kinds of words, right, Tiffany? But just remember, like, most of that stuff, like, there's this one girl who I've known for years, and she's on LinkedIn, and I mean, every time I see her, it's a beautiful new dress, her hair is to the nines, the nails are to the nines, and it's another award, or she's got another client, or she's given herself some roses, or she's done this, or she's done that, and you would imagine from her thread that like this literally this woman only just wins, and it's like, come on, we know that that's not true. We're all having a creative existence in a very unpredictable world, and you can't always win. Not everybody, no one always wins. You know, the real winning is finding out who you are, and the real winning is, as scary as it is, you know, showing up truly as who you are. You know, and when you start doing that, you're going to cause some waves, and you're going to maybe upset a few people, but those were people that were probably already imposters as well. And when you stop acting like an imposter, other people feel uncomfortable around you if they are wearing their social masks in public and all of that stuff, because they know that they're not showing up in an authentic way. And that's all we can really do. That's all we can really do. But the work thing is hard to navigate, Jules. Yeah. Well, and it depends too. You know, do you want to win the battle or the war, right? Sometimes you gotta let some stuff go. But yeah, I mean, yeah. I've gotten myself into some bad situations by just going with the flow, being too scared to stand up against something that I didn't think was right. And so, you know, if anything, if my recovery journey has done anything, I think that's probably the main takeaway. So, anyway, hope that helps. If not, it always helps me. I love it every week. Yep, you have to pick and choose your battles, you know? And also, too, like, maybe that's what I'll talk about next week. I should talk about this next week. The 47 laws of power, or is it the 48 laws of power, something like that. 47, 48 laws of power. One of the most important lessons in that book, and if you want to read it, it is fantastic. It's a historical analysis of people who rose to power throughout history, and they go back like ancient Greece, like it's all over. But one of the main rules is never outshine the master. So when you're talking about like choose and pick your battles, yeah, it's one thing to battle with someone who is lateral to you in the company structure, but someone who's above you, yeah, be careful. Never outshine the master. All right, y'all, have a great week. Stay centered. And, yeah, I'll see you in, 7 days?